I've started the audio. I've shared the screen as well.
Mhm. I'm going to link it to a specific problem that Tesco is trying to solve. So
Okay.
they'll see all the things about relationship, why those things are important, and all of those things that they can apply to solving the problem. Are we good?
Yeah.
Audio
Shared.
is it
The audio is on it.
for your own? Because I switched off mine.
Yeah, you're using the same mic.
Yeah, yeah, it's the same.
Yeah. So you also give a quick.
So please set them. I don't want to spend more than 5 minutes. We have a lot to cover today.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. So 23. So you can start.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Um, Thank you all. Thank you very much for giving us your precious time for this 3 different days. So we are good. What's the problem, brother? For this 3 days, so we're going to move on quickly because we have got a lot to cover because we want to cover as much as we can to allow to put you in a space where you can continue by yourself. Obviously, we can't do everything in 3 days. So because of the few new faces that are here, I'm going to try to wrap up what we covered yesterday. And we couldn't do a quiz yesterday, so we're going to have a longer period for quiz. So we're going to have 20-question quiz. So inshallah, it will be double the price because on the first day, somebody won a voucher. So yesterday's voucher is not being used. So we're going to have double today. So it's only for the winner, no second place prizes. So, so please pay attention. And those who missed yesterday, you then try to figure it out. So basically, so to summarize what happened yesterday, I'm going to use a business case that most of you might be familiar with. Is there anybody who has ever shopped in Tesco, as the Sheikh said yesterday? Has anybody ever been to Tesco?
Never been to.
Yes, shopped in Tesco.
Yesterday or ever been.
I said ever. Okay, you have all been to Tesco. Does any of you use a club card, Tesco club card?
Yes.
Okay. Jazakallah khair. So the reason why I'm using that example is that I'm looking for something that all of you can relate with. Tesco Club Card, I was researching this morning, is one of the pioneers of solving a specific business problem, and it's been around for 30 years. Who knew? So basically, you might think of Tesco as a grocery company, but Tesco is actually a data collection company, and they are very, very heavy on data analytics. Why? Because the nature of their business has a thin profit margin. So if you walk into Tesco and you see one price for non-Tesco club members and the other price for Tesco club members, they are not doing it because they like you. They are doing it to collect data. Why? Because based on what the Sheikh was talking about, I'm trying to give you an example that you probably practice. So the relationship is that they know that the customer will always respond to price, right? So you register in the Tesco platform. So they know that anybody who has registered will buy A, B, C, and D because they're responding to price. So what are they doing? They are trying to manage their inventory. So Tesco Club Card is solving a specific business problem for them. You understand? To manage their inventory, to ensure that, anybody who's in the club card, they way to monitor your characteristics and look at the relationship between any line item, any items that you bought. That's why some others do it, but Tesco doesn't do it. If you go on the Tesco app, you will see that you have they give you a voucher if you spend X amount of money. And also for some of you who have small kids like myself, sometimes they give you a free. Okay, sometimes they give you a free diapers. Why? They are monitoring your habits. So Tesco Club Card is solving a specific business problem to manage their inventory. So why am I telling you this? What you explained in the tables yesterday, all of those things go into the background. So every time you walk into Tesco, you apply it to say how, if you are able to develop these skills, to apply it into your business. So whether you have a business or you're an employee, how can you look at what are the relationships between the line items, what people have purchased, and to solve a specific business problem, which is doing their inventory. You understand? So that is the importance of knowing what those things are. So if you, when they continue, you see that when you're applying those table items, you see that those the relationship between A and B, when you buy C and D, and that is what the data collection is for. And the Tesco one is so advanced that if you go on the app, you can even know the inventory of your local Tesco if you go on the app. So if you want to buy something, to tell you what aisle it is and whether it's in stock or not. So it's real data collection. So that is how you can use the Microsoft Power Platform to solve a specific problem for your business. Does that make sense? So I hope you look at Tesco app as look at it from a different lens. And this is, they may not necessarily be using Microsoft Power Platform, but that is the kind of problem you can solve using Microsoft Platform, an inventory problem. Does that make sense? So I hope that's what he was saying, is that you can link it to how you yourself use it in terms of as a consumer. So let's, please. So inshallah, you continue to do. So I'm just trying to, so I was thinking about how can I relate it to your everyday life. So I hope you can see it now that it's very important for you to be able to manage your inventory and know the characteristics of your consumers and know what they're up to. So every time they give you a discount, it's not because they like you. They may have too much in their warehouse and they have monitored your habits. And at the end of every year, I don't know about you, in January, for all the stores that you subscribe, they'll tell you how many times you went to Tesco. They'll tell you whether you went in the morning or in the evening. They'll tell you what you bought. They'll tell you how much you spent and how much you saved throughout the year. So if they are giving you, the consumer, that data, just imagine how much data they have. You understand what I'm saying? So Tesco is not a supermarket. It is a data company. I hope you understand. So, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So inshallah, the Sheikh will continue today. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, inshallah. I hope that today we focus more on like the hands-on part of whatever we've been talking about so far. So, but before the hands-on part, I would just like to go over some of the other components really quick. If you can help me with that, I'm just gonna share. Yeah. So yesterday we talked about the data model parts of the solutioning. So what happened? Okay. So we talked about the data model of the solutioning, but there are still some other bits and pieces that we need to cover. So inshallah, I'm just going to really move quick on some of the components, like the apps, the automation, just really quick, because today, inshallah, I'll be focusing more on the hands-on part. So we talked about Dataverse being the storage for all of the solution. It's kind of like meant to house the data and the structure and everything, basically. So yeah, inshallah, the app part is what I'll be covering right now. So we talked about the fact that when you're building a solution, you have to talk about the data model part, then you talk about the app part. So inshallah, this is the app part that we'll be covering. Sorry, just click on it, I guess.
The slide, click on show.
I think share my screen, please. I think my screen stopped sharing. Just let me click on the slide. Just click.
Click on your mouse.
Easier. Okay, yeah, it's fine. But you can share the screen. So yeah, there's something called Power Apps, right? Like we said, Power Apps is one of the components of the Power Platform. It enables you build application really quick, very fast. So because an application is part of the things you need to build like a solution, a complete solution. So, you want to?
It's locked.
Locked. Oh, okay. No worries. Just gonna share. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, good. So yeah, inshallah, we're going to be moving really quick on this part. So we're just going to explore how you can easily build a Power Apps application. we have the data already. So how can you tie the app to the data that we spoke about yesterday? The different technologies to perform different tasks in Power Apps. How can you build a Canvas app? So what is a Canvas app? I mean, really quick, the word canvas indicates, sorry, can you help me with this? I don't know, I'm not sure. So indicate something. When you say canvas, it's kind of like you have something that is ready-made that you can just put into use. So that's the idea of Canvas app. So it's a suite of apps or services or connectors that you can easily put together. Think about, the way people used to build a house, the way the construction company works today, where you can build a house in a couple of months, where you already have those things, those compartments built down already. So what you just want to do is you want to put those things together, and probably you want to apply some cohesion force that holds the building together. So think of that like Canvas app. So Canvas app, you already have some, set of properties that are available for you to use, like inputs, like buttons, like all of those things. You're just bringing it together to build an app that can be used within the company. So this is a Canvas app. This is what a Canvas app looks like. So you can have a Canvas app to track equipment list, facility, and all those things. Inshallah, which, like I said, we have some hands on. So you have the building blocks of Canvas app. You have the Power Apps Maker portal. So that's the portal where you get to see everything, the tables, all of those things on the sidebar that I showed yesterday. And you have the studio itself. This is where you get to edit and customize your app. I'm going to be showing that as well. And you have the Power Apps Mobile. So the Power Apps Mobile is what you can install from Play Store or App Store. So when you install it on Play Store or from App Store, then you log in into your organization account. Then all of the apps that has been shared with you becomes available for you to use. So it makes it easy for you to kind of like use that. So the Power Platform Admin Center, I showed that yesterday. The admin center was where I showed how to create an environment. So that's the Power Platform Admin Center. You can do a lot of administrative tasks within the Power Platform Admin Center. So part of the administrative task is you can see like the app usage. So how many people open the app in a day? How many people, like the history of how the app is being opened, how many users are currently using the app and stuff like that. And you can also set permissions on the admin center and stuff, inshallah. So yeah, this is what the interface again looks like. I showed it yesterday, like I said. So you have the Power Apps Maker portal. This is what the portal looks like. You can see on the sidebar, you have Home, Create, Learn. So Learn is to, if you want to learn more about Power Apps and research more and read more documents about it. Plans is kind of like a new AI-based, solutioning tool that was introduced to the Power Platform. Inshallah, we're going to be using that as well to make everything really easy and fast. So the apps, when you click on the apps, you see the list of apps that's been built on your environment. So this is in an environment, like I explained yesterday, without going back. So you have the AI Hub. This is where you can actually customize some AI models to use within your app as well, your automations. You have the tables. I talked about the tables yesterday. This is where you construct your data. You have the flows. This is where you build the automations. The solution, I talked about solution being the folder that comprises of everything you need to build. I mean, you have all of these things. So this is the Power App Studio. This is what it looks like. You have the sidebar, the left pane, where you can see all of those things that you're currently using. So where you can see everything that you're using, the buttons you're bringing in, the input and everything. And you have the middle pane, it shows the canvas that you're putting together. And, and on the top bar, you can see on the top bar, you can write the formula or you can write what's it called? You can write the code or expression to basically do all of those actions or the activities. So, what's that?
The slide.
No, it's good. I'm just trying to. So, and on the right pane, you can see the properties of each control. So on the right pane, when you select a particular, a particular object, you can see the configuration on the right pane. I'll be showing that to inshallah, going forward. So that's what the Power App Studio looks like. So going forward, this is what the Power Apps looks like on the mobile. When you build an app and you log in, you download the app from the App Store or Play Store. So when you open the Power Apps mobile, you're going to see you can mark some apps as favorites. So when you log in into your organization account, the same way you log into your email, all of those apps that you have that has been built, that has been shared with you, would become accessible and available on your Power Apps mobile. So when you build the app, it's not like I said, it's not like you're deploying the app on App Store or Play Store. So this is where you get to access the app from. So because it's meant to be an internal app, not a public app. So this is what the Power Apps mobile looks like. So this is what the designer, like I said, looks like. So just to like dig deep a little bit, you have something called the command bar, right? So if you look at the command bar, you have like something like inserts. Inserts, you can bring in any components like the button, like I said. Inshallah, we'll see. So you can add data source. Number two, it shows like you are currently editing the app. So number three, if you look at that, you have to select something on the tree view on the sidebar. Then whatever property that is available for that component, shows up on the number three at the drop down. So if you select screen, for example, if you look at fill, fill is a property of the screen. What does fill means? It means like background color. So you can set the background color. And on the port, you can see the color that's white. It shows that what the background is in white color. So on the fifth one. Sorry, can you admit that person? So number five, you can see all of those icons on the left-hand side. So inshallah, I'm going to be like talking through it. So without, can you admit the person, please?
Okay.
So basically, that is what the Power Apps Studio looks like. Going forward, how can you create a Canvas app? You can either start a Canvas app from what? By using Copilot Studio, by using the Copilot option that is available on the app interface. Okay, build this app for me. You describe your business, what's it called? Your solution, and you use the Copilot to build the app. And you can also start a Power Apps from a page design or from a template or from a blank. Maybe you don't want the AI to do anything for you, you want to do it yourself, you use like the blank, or from a data source. So a data source is, for example, you have a table and you just want to like create an app based off the table. So what that does for you is still kind of like an AI way to do it. So it automatically creates some, read, updates functionality for you within that. And from a design, there are some standard templates that we have within the Power Apps Studio. And what happens? You can easily leverage on those templates. So yeah, when you're creating a Canvas app, this is the part of the Copilot I mentioned. You describe what you want to build and it puts it together for you. It might not be 100% good at the moment because AI hallucinates a lot as well. And depending on the complexity of what you're trying to build, it might be hallucinating. So this is what it looks like. So also, I mentioned you can do from the app, you can create a Canvas app by using a page design. So if you have, for example, a standard page that you see from the options that you want to like leverage, you can click on it and it automatically does that for you. This is the blank canvas. If you look at the right hand side, you have the blank canvas. So it means you want to like be the one to design everything. You don't want to use the leverage of what is available already. So this is the interface where you get to create the Canvas app. And on the Canvas App Studio, so you have also the possibility of creating a Canvas app from whoever knows what Figma is. Figma is a tool that you use to design user interface. So if you design the user interface, you can easily like start. So if you look at the last option, you can just put or upload the Figma file. And based on the standard or the designs you have, it uses AI to create the app for you and like that. So this is what a Canvas app looks like when you create it from a data source. It automatically adds, if you look at the left-hand side, you're doing the read. It is pulling all the data in the database. If you click on new, you're creating a new data. It pops up the form on the right-hand side for you to create the data. And you can see the create button and all these things. So you can see the edit button to edit the currently selected item and the delete button on the top right section of the form. So that's basically like going over it really quick. So yeah, I talked about data sources or connector yesterday, which is the layer between what's the app and the external service. So if you choose to create an app that its data sits on, say, for example, SharePoint, what you need to do is use the SharePoint connector. So how do you use the SharePoint connector? On the left-hand side of the App Studio, you're going to see the way to kind of like add connections. So inshallah, I'm going to show that, like I said. So these are, some of the connectors available. They are more than this. They are more than 500 connectors. And the good thing is also you can build your own custom connector. So if you have an API, if you have your own server in your business, and because Microsoft does not support that, you can easily build a custom one that can be used within your app. I mean, yeah, that is kind of like, later on, but just going by the standard that we have. SharePoint List. SharePoint is a storage system that Microsoft also offer or supports, but it is different from Dataverse because it does not have all of the features that Dataverse have. You know, the way you can manage security, the way you can manage logics and all these things. So SharePoint does not have it, but Dataverse has it. So SharePoint list is kind of like a table that you can use, like, you know, the SharePoint list just follow the same structure as table that I mentioned or that I explained yesterday as well. So Excel could be a data source as well. Microsoft Dataverse could be a data source. SQL could be a data source. So all of these are just, I explained the advantage of Dataverse yesterday. So the reason why people do not often use Dataverse, why they use SharePoint, is because of the categorization of, you know, when I talked about the connector, I think I mentioned on day one that there is the standard connectors and the premium ones. The standard ones are the one that you can use for free, that comes with the license, the Microsoft 365 license that you already have. While the premium is the one that you have to pay extra license for to use. So Dataverse is among the premium ones, and that is why people would often look for like alternative solution like SharePoint to store their information or their data. So yeah, you can easily put in, you can pop in an Excel file to create an app as well. So this demonstrates something. If you look at this, you have Power Apps, Power BI, and Power Automate. So what the use, this is kind of like a use case. If you, I think if you can help me minimize this part of the screen of the Zoom, no, from my side, this, exactly. Yeah, so, yeah, exactly. So, can you click on the slide now? Just click, yeah. That's enough, Jazakallah. So perhaps Power Automate and Power BI, you use all these three things. You can use these three, or you can use them, you can use more to build a solution. So when you use the Power Apps, what's the idea of the app? People interface with the app, they click, they fill in a form and create data. So the app in of itself is what is used to collect information, right? You use the app to collect information. The Power Automate part is meant to automate processes. So what do you want to automate? You want to automate data, for example. I give an instance when, if you receive an email, you want to extract the information from the invoice and create it on the table, or you want to send those information to someone. So automate undo those data manipulation for you automatically without you having to manually do it. And the Power BI part is just for what? After you've gotten all the data, how can you make sense of the data? That's where Power BI comes in. So you can use all of these two together. So Power Automate Cloudflow. So it's meant to kind of help you perform like complex activities or complex tasks or simple tasks, whichever tasks, outside of your app. Basically, it can do things like what? It can help you update information from SharePoint or Dataverse. It can help you if you want to download some files or some information on for some sources as well. It helps you like if you want to update some information or you want to like create some files into SharePoint or you want to create files. For example, somebody sends you an attachment in your email. You want to take that email, take the attachment and send it to your OneDrive. You want to keep it in your folder. So you can define the actions or the activities within Power Automate to do that. So it can even help you schedule an event. So you want to do something like if somebody sends you an email, so check that email. If it contains dates or something, then create that invite in your calendar. So you can automate a lot of activities. So using Power Automate, and you can merge the use of both together. So for example, if Power Apps cannot offer a certain feature and Power Automate can, what do? You leverage Power Automate within the Power Apps because you can actually trigger a Power Automate also within Power Apps. So yeah, Power BI, like I said, is kind of more of analytics. Inshallah, we wouldn't be like focusing more on the Power BI part. So we have the embed Power BI in Canvas app as well. Within your Canvas app, you can embed a Power BI dashboard. So for people to kind of like have overview of what is going on. So, and this is what it looks like. You have like a dashboard tiles. So you can embed also a Canvas app in a Power BI dashboard. So the same way you can embed a Power BI dashboard within an app, so also you can embed an app in a BI dashboard. So if you look at this is a BI dashboard, and on the left side you have student information, and you can easily like create those things by using because the app has been embedded, so you can easily do like create, update, and read. So designing a Power Apps Canvas app. So this is what it looks like. So as an app maker, before you begin your Power Apps solution, it's recommended for you to go through something called like design process. So the factor is, for example, you have to get the business requirements. We call it maybe like you can do something. There's something called product description, product detail description or something, PDD. So you get the information about what you need to build as a solution. Then you go to the data model part. Then what you talk about the user experience. Then now you talk about the user interface and what the business logic and the output. So yeah, so that's it for Power Apps and Power Automate in summary. Inshallah, I'll just go straight into like doing a lot of demos, right? So I intend that we do more of hands-on today so that we can easily like resonate and understand what we've been trying to kind of like pitch so far. So yeah, I'll just get to the automate to the what's it called, to the demo part. I don't know if you can see me. I think we just take that into TikTok. So yeah, we are not new to seeing this interface. We see this interface almost every time. We see this interface almost every now and then. I've shared it a couple of times. And this is what our Microsoft 365 interface looks like. So I said when you have to like build a solution, what you want to do is you don't just want to start building apps. It doesn't make any sense. You want to talk to the business person or the finance person or the HR person or the IT person. What solution do you need? So what do? You get a business requirement. You get business requirements, a PDD, yeah, product description detail or something. So something to describe in detail for you what you want to build. So I came up because I told you, like, I mentioned that Microsoft has a lot of services. So we can leverage Microsoft Word to do that, to collect those information. So this is a use case. So if you look at this product design document, this PDD, the idea of this PDD is what? You want to build a site inspection and safety compliance application. Say, for example, you're into construction and you already use Office 365, you have a license, you have subscription. Then you pay company ABC to build an application for you to build a site inspection and safety compliance application. What do you need? Since you already have Microsoft 365, just come to Power Apps, use Power Apps to build it, to build this app. But before you go straight to the app, you need to know what needs to be what entailed. You need to know the details of what you're building. So now you have something called like project overview. So usually when you're told to build something and when you want to build something, you need to like go through what you need to build. And just the overview gives you like a holistic summary of what you're trying to build. So if you look at this purpose, the purpose of the project is what? Construction and engineering sites require regular inspections to ensure safety and compliance. So you want to also identify hazards. You want to maintain audit-ready documentation and stuff like that. So rather than using the normal paper traditional method, you don't want to like take paper to the site and start recording activities. Now, it's the digital age. You want to just leverage, or you just want to pick up your phone and record all of those things. So that is the purpose of you building the solution. So the goal is clear now. The purpose is clear now. So this PDD, it's what it describes like a Power. PDD is product design document. I said rubbish the other time, sorry about that. So PDD is product design documents. From that, it's kind of like self-explanatory. The design documents, the documents you need to know what you want to design or you want to build. So the PDD describes the solution that digitizes and automates the entire inspection lifecycle using 3 things, or 4 things, or 5, whichever. You can actually add more to it or remove from it, depending on your need. So you need a Power App to actually create those inspection data or the inspection information. You need the Power Automate to automate some of the activities or workflows. You need Database to store your information. Or you could, if you don't want Database, you could use another storage device, like I said. The most commonly used one is Database, SharePoint, Excel, and what? And SQL, for those who use SQL before. And probably you need Power BI to do what? To leverage the analysis or the analytics of the whole inspection. Okay, how many inspections did we do today? How many hazard has been reported so far? So basically, it's just something like that. If you look at number 2, the business problem. What are the current challenges? You need to identify the current challenge of what you do. So when you identify the challenge, if you don't identify the challenge, then you can't build a solution. If you don't know there's a problem, how would you even think of a solution? So you need to identify what the current challenges are. So paper forms, for example, if you take papers to the site and there is water spillage or something, what happens to the paper? It gets destroyed. And what happens to the data you've collected? It's gone. So also paper requires people to manually send in the what? It requires people to manually send in their reports. So another thing is you have to manually create inspection report and all of these things. So there's no real-time visibility. You have to wait for people to be back from site. And what if something happens to the data they've collected on the paper? Everything is gone. So yeah, and also there is no automatic way of escalating report or situations. So basically, those are the challenges. Now, because we understand the challenges, then we can now talk about the solution. So what is the solution? The first solution we're profiling is what? A mobile-first Power App solution, enabling site engineers to conduct inspections, capture evidence, and trigger automated workflows. So what are the features of the app? So you should be able to do what? Mobile inspection. Either you are online or offline. Yeah, please feel free to stop me if there's anything wrong or you need me to do something. Yeah, make it bigger. I think it's bigger enough. It's big enough now. Right? So you need to maybe capture informations with annotation. You need to track a GPS location. If somebody said he's on site and he's not there, you want to enable the location access. There are people that you send them to site but they are not there and they tell you they're there. So how do you want to track them or manage this information? So this is kind of this feature is just me coming up with a scenario of what a typical business process or a PDD would look like. So then you want to talk about the solution architecture. So all of those problems and all of those, overview of what is needed is given to you by the what? By the business person or by those teams that need you to build a solution. But you are the one coming up with what you are going to use for it because you have experience that, okay, you can use Power Apps to build app, you can use Power Automate to build automation and all those things. So now you want to talk about the solution architecture. You want to write out the solution architecture. So you tell them that what you have these 4 components. It's still big. I think it's big also. So you have components, you have, basically the Power Apps part, which is the inspection app. So it should be used by engineer to complete what? Digital inspection forms. So you want the data storage to be Dataverse. So what does it store? It stores information about inspections that has been done, the checklist, the hazards, the photos that has been, taken, user metadata and all of these things. So you have also workflow that sends alerts or generates PDF reports. Okay, you want to generate a daily report, right? So what should the daily report include? All of the inspection that has been taken for the day. You want to handle escalations. So, okay, we realize that there are 5 hazards and that cannot be managed on site. So you want to escalate it to your manager or something like that. So you can build the automation to do that. So the Power BI part, which is the reporting part, you want to create a dashboard for an holistic view of how things are done. So yeah, this is the architecture. The Power Apps take the data. You have a mobile Power Apps. Then you have what? Dataverse table. So now for the Power Apps part, you want to decide now. Let me just ask this question. For the Power Apps Canvas app, are we going to use a mobile screen or we are going to use a desktop screen for this kind of app? We are going to use a mobile. Why? Because the end users are what? They are on site. Nobody takes laptop to the site, but you can easily take your phone to the site, right? To track all of those things. I'm just asking now out of the blue, just to be interactive. So you have the Dataverse tables where all of those data will be sitting. The data will be coming from the apps into the Dataverse table. And you have the Power Automate flows, which will be what's automating things. And for you to automate something, you're automating data basically. Either you're automating data creation or updates or all of these things. So even when you're sending notification, you're creating data. So whichever way. So these are the requirements, the user roles. You need to define the end users who will be using my apps. Who are those people that will be using my app? So the site engineer, what should they have in terms of what their access to the app? So this is where authorization comes in, or role definition, or you call it security rules that we talked about yesterday. So you want the site engineer to be able to conduct inspection. When they conduct inspection, it means they're able to record information about inspection. They're able to log hazards. They're able to upload images of some of those things that they've taken. Maybe this is where the status update of what we're able to do today. They should be able to take like what a picture and upload. So you want the supervisor role as well, where the supervisor can review and what resolve safety issue. And you have the what health and safety manager. So where they can monitor compliance dashboard and all of these things. So now user stories. So user story comes in. What does user story means? All of those things that we've described, we want to like chunk them further into what? Into what is achievable at once. Say, for example, you have 5 people that want to work on the team. You want to build an app. The app should have this. It should have 100 things. You want to break those 100 things into what? One. And you want to what? You want to have a clear description and what is expected and outcome. So you have what? The first user story. So you want to, in the app, you should be able to what? Conduct site inspection. So now this is how it's described. As a site engineer, I want to, as a role, what you want to achieve and what the clarity of, so that this is in place. So this is kind of like the standard to create user stories. So for clarity, you can expand in this, like in terms of like the technicality, how you want, the kind of input you want, the kind of output you want, and what goes in within that. But briefly, this is how to kind of like create user story. So you, as a site engineer, I want to complete safety checklists digitally, like using the mobile app, so that what inspections are fast, consistent, and recorded properly. So you have what's the second feature as well within the app. So you should be able to capture photos of what of the site of the hazards, and so that what things are clearly documented. So you have all of these user stories that you can chunk. Now specification. So the Power Apps features. So you describe also the features that you want within the app. So the Dataverse model. Now you need to describe the data models in detail. Like, oh, these are the tables I'll be needing. So, but because of time, I did not really go deep into the columns that you require. But so what I'm going to be doing next is this. This is what I'm going to be doing next. I'm just going to copy all of this, right? All of my PDD, the product detail description. I'm going to be covering everything because I have done all of the writing, right? I've written everything that needs to be done out. So I'm going to be doing something. What am I going to be doing? I'll come to the Power Apps portal, like I said. Everybody knows what the Power Apps portal looks like. This is what the Power Apps portal looks like that I showed on the screen earlier. So I mentioned that this plan is the AI part that was introduced, right? So the AI part that was introduced to the Power Apps is what it enables you use the AI to build your solution. So the reason I was supposed to kind of like build each component out individually, but because we don't have time to do that, so I'm going to be using the AI part to do what? To do that. So if you look at this, it says create a plan, describe your business problem, and generate apps, automation, and tables. Yeah, so it uses Copilot. So Microsoft has different, I would say, different integration of Copilot to their Microsoft 365 platform. For example, if you're talking about Copilot, you can build a Copilot on something called Copilot Studio. Inshallah, we'll cover that soon, inshallah. Or Microsoft also integrated Copilot into their services, like their solutions, that you can easily use to do something within that app. For example, this is a Copilot that is integrated within Power Apps that can only do the job of creating a solution. Think of it like an agent that helps you create a solution. Both app, automation, tables, all of those things that you need. So this is kind of like the agent. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to say create a plan. So I will tell you that I have these PDD, right? I said I'm going to tell it to generate what? Okay. I'm just going to put the PDD. No need for me like doing prompting. So if I click on generate, right? It's going to analyze everything. It's going to take each thing line by line. So look at it. Now it's using the requirements agent to look at the user requirements. So if I say looks good, because of time. So I'm just gonna say look good. Then it's going to like send the information to the process agent that does that analyzes the whole process and everything. So when that is done, it sends it to the next agent, the solution agent that is going to kind of like build the tables, build the app that is necessary. So process agent looks good. Then it sends it to the data agent that analyzes the data, all of the tables, all of the user roles, all of the security groups that need to be created. But I said the data agent also has done a good job. So it has created 5 tables: site inspection table, inspection checklist item, hazard issue, photo, site, and app user. So now we are on the solution agent. So the solution agents have suggested to me that we need to build a Canvas app, a model-driven app, a report with that Power Dashboard, hazard notification engine, and also another automation for triggering escalation, and an inspector report generator. So if I say it looks good, then it's going to give me this interface where I can start to now generate my app or my automation or the data model, basically. So now it says your tables have been saved. So to create and customize objects, just over it and select create. So if you look at all of the suggestions I gave me as part of the solution, so because now it has created the tables, where can I find the tables? So if I come to the tables here, I should see the tables that was created by the agent, right? So if you look at the inspection tables, checklist item table. So if you look at, let's just explore the table that was created for us by the agents. So we have a lot of columns. The description for that. So what's the data type is a single line of text. So if you look at this, is mandatory, is also is a yes or no field. It created site type. So this is a choice column. I'm just going to be clicking on this. So it's a choice column. So what's the choice? So these are the choices. Either it's a construction, it can be a construction site type or an engineering site type or other. So I mean, this is just like a simple scenario to kind of like start with. So you can have a specific business requirements, that the business want from you. So what I'm just going to be doing is, so I said, create the Canvas app for me because we already have the data model. So the agents can easily help me build the Canvas app. So this is what the Power App Studio that I was showing the other time looks like. So the Power App Studio, this is what it looks like. It's just going to be putting some of these components together on different pages. And it's going to be adding the data source. And inshallah, once it's done doing that, I would share that. I would show that. But while that is going on, I would just like initiate this one as well. Yeah.
See, one is that for you say you have premium and you have
That's connector.
so it's different for all the apps or you have to have premium.
No. It's so you can use it. So what it does for you is it chooses Dataverse for you as the default table, as a default storage. And when you're talking about premium connector, premium app or standard app, you're talking about the connectors, not the app itself. So the kind of connectors you use, I will explain what connector is in details. So the kind of connectors you use in the app will determine if the app is premium or standard app. So what is a connector? I mentioned that connector is that thing that bridges the layer between Power Platform or Power Apps and the other service. There's a service called SharePoint. It exists on its own. You can use SharePoint without Power Apps, right? But how can you store information on SharePoint list through Power Apps? You need a connector for that. So SharePoint is part of the connectors that are classified as standard connectors. But if you want to store your data on Dataverse and you chose the Dataverse connector, automatically the app is a premium app. So if you want to know what connector, where you can actually get started with connector within the Power Apps, if you come to this data part, right, and you click on add data, no, you don't need to click on add data first. You're going to see all of the tables that have been used. So all of these tables are coming from where? From Dataverse. So how did I know that? Because I know what Dataverse logo looks like. And if I click on add data, you can see. So by default, Power Apps encourage you to use Dataverse as your default storage. But if you think you don't have you don't have the means, or you don't have the resources, or you don't want to buy license, for that Dataverse, then that is when you start to consider options like SharePoint. So if I click on add data and I type let me type. So if you look at the connectors now, you can see connectors here. So you have a lot of connectors. So if I want to use something that has to do with Office 365 emails, my Outlook, I want to send an email from my app. So I can easily click on this guy. So when I click on this guy, what happens? It asks me to authenticate. So because I have a connection existing, yeah, then it shows me, then I can select this one. So I'm using Office 365 Outlook now in my app. So which means I can easily send an email from within my app. So, but before I go back into what Connector does, right? I mean, I've explained briefly what Connector does, but I'm going to explain how it functions. So now, this is the app that was generated for us, right, by the agents, and looks good. So if I'm going to so I explained something that on the left-hand side, we have something called the tree view. So the idea of the view is it helps you visualize all of the components you have in your app. So this is what the home screen looks like. This is the home screen. So if you look at so this is the app screen. This is the first screen that we have. So you have the welcome screen, sorry. So the welcome screen, constitute of the site inspection checklist item, hazard issues, app user, sites, photos, and all of these things. So we have the app user screen. So the people that get to use the app, thank you for. Is it clear? So this is the site user screen. It might be difficult to visualize it, but yeah, I'm just going to do this. So if I click on home, right? Let me play the app. So this is the play mode of the app, right? So because it is meant to be it is meant to be a mobile friendly app. So if I'm going to access it on an iPhone 8, this is what it's going to look like, right? So if I click on site inspection, I mean, for the sake of the class, I think I'll just leave it as a desktop app, so it's more visible for us. I mean, to everyone clearly. So yeah. Can we see it? Is it clear? Okay. So yeah, if you look, I'm just going to go back to the page. So if you click on site inspection, you can see all of the site inspection. This is just like a summary of, it's just a simple way of kind of going through it. So it's, apart from creating the app, it's created some, what's it called? Some data, some custom data, basically some rough data for you to kind of see. So you want to see it. So if you click on site inspections, so these are the site inspections that has been recorded. So inspection 4, you want to have something like a unique identifier to identify all your inspections. So who is the inspector? Who did the inspector? It's John Doe, yeah? So is the inspector on draft? No. So what's the site name? Downtown Construction. So what's the inspection title? Inspection 4. What's the signature of the engineer? You can put the initials of the engineer. So John Doe signature. So what's the GPS location? You can track the GPS location of that person as well, where he's recording the information from. And you can, choose the inspection date and all of these things. So, and who is the supervisor? Supervisor is what? Jane Smith's signature. So I can also edit this record. So I can do a lot of play around these things. So I can say, okay, I don't want it to be editable. Once you submit an inspection, I'm just giving you, I mentioned something about permission and stuff. So I can define that, okay. I can say, I don't want people to be able to modify, an inspection once they submit it. So that's a business request or a business, what's it called? A business requirement. So if it's stated as part of the requirement, what you just want to do is, so if you look at this button, this is an icon, right? That was put in the app. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Let me just go screen by screen. So this is a screen. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to let us understand what the app does first. So let's just go through all the app. So this is an inspection record. This is what an inspection looks like, right? Now, if you look at inspection checklist item, so for one inspection, there are checklists. For example, so what do you need to do for this particular inspection? You need to review emergency exits. Apart from that, you have to check fire extinguisher. You have to inspect scaffoldings that is, standing properly. You have to verify that everybody is using their safety element and all those things. So those are the checklist. So you have all of those information. And if you want to create a new checklist, you can just click on new. So if I click on the new button, it asks me, is this mandatory? Yes. What's the site type? It's a construction site. What's the description? Okay. Everybody should be clothed. So, right, and I click here and it's created, right? So this is This is kind of like a checklist as well. So if I want to delete it, I can easily click on the delete button, and what happens? It deletes. So the same thing for the hazard issues. So these are the issues that are reported. So inspection 5, it was reported on the 5th inspection. What's the severity, medium, status? It has been escalated, description. The last inspection dates over 1 year ago. The hazard title, all of these things. So basically, it's just us being like, so if you look at the photos part as well, you can upload a picture and put the picture URL, and basically it's just like tracking what is going on the inspection side. And these are the list of sites that you have, export, expansion, all of this. So think of this like, the record of all of the inspections, all of the sites that you have. So who are the app users? So these are the people that are on site. So you have all of the people that are using these are the people that are using the app basically. So what kind of role? This person is a supervisor, this person is a site engineer. All of those things you can define within the app. So now back to building the app itself. So we've talked about what the app does. So now coming down to how to put all of these components together, right? The first thing we want to talk about is we have something called a screen. So a screen is what contains what can be. So think of a screen like a page, a web page. So if you have like a website, for example, or a web application, if you go to Amazon, it lands you to what? The home page. What does the home page entails? It entails things like having some of the recommended products that you're likely to buy. Once you click on one product, it takes you to the product detail page. So think of a screen like that as a page that has information about like what things that are relevant or are specific to that. So we have the site inspection screen. So, but I'm not going to start from there. We have the welcome screen, kind of like the home page. So the home page should show everything that the app, supports. You can have a different, requirements in your business process. So if you want to see, for example, on the home page, you want to see like an input, you should put password or something like that and have a button. You can, depending on what your use case is. So that's what a screen is basically. So think of a screen like a web page. So within a screen, you can do a lot of things, right? You can have, because there's something called responsive design. Responsive design is a way you build your web page or your application in such a way that it responds well either on your mobile device or your tablet device or your laptop or whatever device you're accessing that application from. So that is why you have something called a container. A container is meant to implement the responsive design of the app. So if you look at the screen container, you can see, so it has highlighted, what the container is. So now, if you look at the screen, before the screen has a lot of properties. So you have properties like fill. Fill is the background color. So what is this background color? Is white. So if I change this, for example, to what? To 30. So it's going to change the background color to what? To kind of like a yellowish background. But the reason why you can see that is because a lot of things have already covered the screen, right? So I'm just showing so each component, screen is a component within Power Apps. So screen has its own property. So there are some property that the screen would have that some other components will not have. So screen, for example, look at the property called unvisible. Unvisible says, for example, if you want something to happen when somebody clicks on that page, you want something to happen, then so now you can describe the formula. You can write the formula that when somebody comes to that page, I'm gonna do something just really quick. On visible of welcome screen, I'm going to say navigate to the site screen. So because I know, so there's something called Power Apps formula or Power Apps functions. So if I just type, I'm just going to open a new tab. If I do Power Apps functions. So I'm just going to go to the documentation page where you have all the references. So these are the list of functions that you have in Power Apps. You have something called absolute value acceleration, all of these things. So the one that I want to use, how do you get to know these things? So you get to know it by going through the link that we shared earlier on Power Apps. So once you go through the link, it tells you like all of these things. So what I'm trying to say in essence is this: you don't have to memorize any of this formula. You just need to know the reference.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question that if you go back to the previous slide there, because you mentioned that they have added an AI feature.
Mhm.
So because I can see the Copilot sign there, can you just ask Copilot to just, okay, fine, make it this, instead of you typing it yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I can do that, but I want people to be able to, because we use the Copilot to build the whole app already.
Okay.
So I just want them to know some little things on
Tech-
how they
the
can
technical
make changes. So because the Copilot also might not function properly at times.
Yeah,
I
that's
just feel like it
hallucinates,
hallucinates a lot
yeah.
as well. So what I want to do is, I want to say, when you land on this page, I want you to automatically navigate away to another screen. So I'm going to use the navigate function. So on visible. So if it's possible, then I'm going to see it. Navigate. Let's see. Let's see if it's possible. I don't think it's possible. So what there's a function called what navigate. So if you look at this function navigate, so what does the navigation does? If you come to the what Power Apps reference, what does it do? It helps you what navigate, move between screen. So the same way when you click on a button, what do you want to happen? You want to navigate from one page to another. If you click on a product on Amazon, you want it to what navigate to that product detail page. So the same way navigate works. So sorry. So I'm actually coming up with a word use case of navigate. So navigation is not allowed on visibility of the screen, because the idea of visibility of the screen is when a screen loads, that's what visible means. So when a screen loads, you don't want to still navigate. It doesn't really make sense. So, but you can see the idea of navigation here. So if I click on this component, now you can see that I think I jumped the gun. So before I get there, I'm just trying to explain something, that each of these components has their properties, right? I talked about the screen. Screen has all of these properties. And when you take when you look at the Power Apps tutorial, it tells you what each property does. So if you look at under a screen, now you have everything you want. So I said we're using container because of the responsive design, because we want it to respond properly on different devices. So that's why we use something called a container. So we have an horizontal container and a vertical container. So if you look at container as well, container has its own property. So you can see the container property is actually way more than the screen property, because there's a lot more you can do with container. So if you look at this container, for example, you have something called the border color. You have the border style, you have all of this, it has to do with like designs and color and everything. And you have something that has to do with what? It has to do with what? Width and height of the container. So if I click on height, for example, it says parent.height. What does parent.height means? What is the parent? There's something called parent-child relationship. So the parents of this container is what? If you look at, even if you look at the tree view, you should understand what the parent is now. So the parent is the screen, which is the welcome screen. So parent is the outer layer. So the outermost layer is what is the screen. So then you can now have things within the screen, under the screen. So you can have a container within a screen. You can have many things under a screen, but the container is used to kind of like manage all of the other things within the screen. But I don't want to just like go deep. So, but yeah, container is a child of the screen itself. And the container has its own property, like I was explaining. So if you look at the property of this container, it says the height of the container is depending on the screen height. So what is the screen height? If you come here, you can see the height. Let's look at the height of the screen. So you can see it's using a formula called max. So max is what? It determines the maximum between two things. Between the app.height. So what is the app.height? If you come to the app part as well, the app screen, you see something like what? So the app has its own definition. So max the screen width and screen height. So it has 320, so max determine which is higher between this one and the app minimum screen height. So basically, it uses it uses the layout. It uses the height of your screen. So it determines which one is higher between the two. Basically, I mean, you don't have to be overwhelmed with all of this information at the moment. The idea is not for you to get everything right now. The idea is to just like show you around it, and you can leverage on the documentation that has been shared, on the resources that has been shared, to further dig deep into how to build and how to use these things or these tools. So if you look at within the container, we have the header part. So the header part is this, right? So the header part is a component. And within the main container, you have like all of these subcomponents as well. So if you look at the first one, The first one is meant to be site inspection. So if you look at the site inspection, you have the image part. Sorry, the image part is the one at the top, and you have the what? You have the description, the labels, basically. You have image and you have labels. So if you look at image has its own property as well. So image has its own property. For example, I put an image canvas. So if I have uploaded an image, for example, I can just specify the image. How can I upload the image? I can use something called what? I can use something called media. So this is just showing you around, basically, like I said. So if I click on media, I can either upload an image from my what's it called? From my computer, or I can just use like the available images within this. So if I select this guy now, for example, this image, and I click on insert, so it's going to upload it. It's going to like download that image and bring it into the app. So if you look at this image now, right? If you look at the image, so if you look at this image, I can say, okay, instead of you using the sample image, just use this image that I've uploaded. How do I do that? I just specify that. I just need to specify it. What's the number? 157,677,192, right? I just need to put it within what? Something called a what? A single quote. And you can see the image appeared. So the image property is what we are setting. So we are setting the property image of this item, of this image. So if you go back to the tree view and you look and you click on this image this image one. So we set the property of image. So the same way you can set the property, the border color, you can set the border thickness, you can set the fill property, you can set the overfill, and when you over on the image, what do you want to show? What do you want another color to show? Also, you can say, okay, on select of the image, what do you want to happen? So what your onSelect property does, when you click on that thing, what should happen? So when I click on this image, it should navigate me to what? Site inspection screen, basically. So that's what, so where's the site inspection screen? This is the screen. It's already been created. So you have something called properties. So within the property of each control, so all of these things that you're seeing are called controls, right? All of these things, the image, the label, all of those things are called control. So each control has its own property. So, and for each property, you can do different things, yeah? So you have the property that has to do with what? Beautification or look and feel. And you have the properties that have to do with what? Functionality. Now, how do you tell it? The property that has to do with beautification, like colors, that is straightforward. Everybody knows. You can say, okay, I want it to be color this. So for example, if I select this text, this is a text control. It's called a control, right? So if I select this text control, I can say, okay, let me define the property of this text. So let me change the color. So if you come to the property side, you will see what? You should see something like what? Text font color. So font color. If you look at font color, what happens? It's blank because so either you come on this part to start accessing this stuff, or you can actually enable this guy, the property here. So this one is kind of like more user-friendly than this one. So the user-friendly one, what I mean by that is this. If you look at the same thing that is available here, font color, you can see it here. So if you look at it, font color, you can see it here. So if I select this, I can say, okay, just have a red font. What happens? It changed. So this is the look and feel of a control. So you can change the look and feel of a control. But where the formula that I was talking about comes in is when you have to like actually perform an action. Like when I click on this button, what should happen? So that is where the formula comes in. So if I click on this, for example, I click on this guy, what should happen? So I can I can set that property as well, that on click or on select. So if it has a property, you're gonna see it. If it doesn't have it, then of course you see the available property. So if I say on select, so you should navigate to the site inspection. How do we know if it's worked? So we have to play the app and select it, and it's navigated, yeah? So you need to know what you want to achieve. So when you know what you want to achieve, after you've gone through the resources that we shared, like I said, everything becomes, gradually easy and simple. So, but before going through those things, I think you might just be hallucinating that, how do I know what to put? How do I know the right formula to write? How do I know, how do I know how to define, what I'm supposed to do? So, but what you just need to do first is as a builder or as a developer, you need to identify what you want to do in your own terms, in the simple terms, in the human readable language. Okay, when I click on this button, I want this to happen. Then that is when you want to leverage on what's on the documentation, or you want to now start Googling online, how can I achieve this, within Power Apps? So yeah, you have, apart from the text control, apart from image control, you have something called a form. So if you look at this form, so you have a form control as well. You have a gallery control. So all of the what's the gallery control meant for? Gallery control is meant for what? So I just want to show what it is here. So this is called what? Records gallery. So gallery control is meant to what? Pull in data for visibility, for you to view your data. So if you look at this now, if you look at this gallery, right? This is called a gallery. So it is meant to show your information. And like I said, you can easily see the properties of this gallery as well. What is available for customization here is available here. So you can say, okay, I want the gallery to have this view, this layout, title, subtitle, and body. Or you can say, oh, I want it to just like image, title, and subtitle. And if you select that, it's going to change it. Because you don't have anything to do with image here, so I don't think it's a good one. So you can just say, okay, let's go back to what we used to do, what we have before, which is the title, subtitle, and body. So it gives you all of this, and you can always specify the fields that you want and all of these things. So, but like I said, you just need to know that all of these things are customizable. That's the idea of me showing it around. It's not for you to get, oh, this is how you do this is how you could do this, because honestly, we don't have enough time for that. So this is a gallery. And if you look at the right-hand side of this form, we have something called a form here. So this is what a form looks like. A form is just what is, everybody knows what a form is. You have something called field, right, on a form. When you fill in a form, you have your name, you put your name or your first name, last name, email. So any form is a form. I mean, everybody has used the form before, either directly or indirectly. You've used the form before. So form, what? It helps you create information. So now if you look at this form now, this form is targeting, this form is targeting the data source, which is the site inspection table, right? So because the AI did it for us, so if you click on this, you can see that property of this form as well. So it's going to the site inspection tables. So another property of the form is what? The default mode of the form. What's the default mode of the form? The default mode of the form is what? It should be read by default, or it should be edit by default. So you can define what the default mode of this form as you want. So, but this is using a condition. That's what, if it is a new mode. What does new mode mean? If I click on new, for example, if I click on what? The new button on it, for example, what happens? So I want to set, so now this takes us to logic. So yeah, but by default, you can have like the default, you can have new, so which means you should be able to fill the form. You can have edit mode, which means you're already reading a record, and you can have view only, which is what kind of like a disabled form that you can, a view only form, yeah, basically. So you use the new for what's creating new data, you use the edit for what's updating data that exists already on the database, and you have the view just to like visualize and see what exists already. So yeah, so these are just some of the controls that we have. I mean, without taking much time. So we've explored, a Canvas app, and if you just like run through the Canvas app again, so if I click on site inspection, I can create new inspection by filling this form. So when I click on what's create new, it changes the form mode to new, and I can specify the inspector. I can say if the inspection I'm trying to record is in drafts or it has been approved, I can specify the site's name. I can put all of these things. Where is those data coming from? Immediately when you plug the form towards the data source, it comes with what is available within the table. So if you look at this form, like I said, if you look at the data source, it's going to the inspection table. So once I fill in everything and I click on submit, it's going to create that information on what? It's going to create the information within the inspection table. And if I click on that, you see now, so this is the new record we just created. This is the new rubbish we created. So yeah, so you can choose to edit what you created and all these things. So that's it, honestly. So this is, with, simple or like easy methods or easy, steps, you're able to like build this app. So, and after building an app, then you do something called save. You can save your app. You want to save your changes, and you can publish the app, right? So if you save your app, it's saving, right? So then you can publish the app. The publish means you are done building, but you want to publish it for people that kind of like, maybe like some developer that you're working, on the same environment to build the app. So they see the latest changes within the app. So this is what it perhaps look like in summary. And this is a site inspection app. So if I publish the version of this app, you can see that. So so that's what the app looks like basically. Do we have more time? Okay, yeah. I think we should take a break, inshallah. Then we will resume back. So let's take a tea break. Yeah, tea break. Jazakumullah. Okay.
It's
So apart from the Power Apps, apart from the Canvas app, you need to have so there's a need for the model-driven app. So what is a model-driven app? I mentioned that, I mentioned that as well, like in the previous class. So the model-driven app, from the word model means data or like data structure, right? So when an app is what is driven by the data, then such app needs to be what? To be a model-driven app. So the idea is what you're more concerned about is not the feature, it's not the look and feel. It's about the data itself, like having an easy way of like working with the data through the app. So this is what a model-driven app looks like. And this is intended for the what? For the supervisors. So the Canvas app itself was intended for the what? For the field users. But in contrast, the supervisors, they would use the model-driven app. And the model-driven app is still plugged into the same table, right? So the same table is pulling data from the same table, right into the same table. So this is what a simple model-driven app looks like. So you have the section where you can track the hazard or issues. So it is listed. So if I select one of it, so I can see the form that shows me what? That shows me the model-driven app. So I was talking about the audit history yesterday. So from the model-driven app, you can easily pull in the audit history. So I don't think we see anything from here, except that we've turned on the audit history on the table level. So if you remember yesterday, I talked about that. I talked about the fact that when you're building a table or when you're customizing a table, you need to have you need to turn up some of the features. So if I click on site inspection, for example, and this is the table, right? And I click on properties, right? So if we turn on the table property to track audits history, then we will be able to see some information on the model-driven side. Otherwise, we might not get those. We might not get anything. So, like I said, yeah, nothing changed. We did not see anything. So if I toggle this guy on now, so it might take a while to register. So it might take a while to register or to get done. So if I make any further changes, then it's going to be tracked here. So as a supervisor, you want to see beyond just the data. You can also see whoever changed what record and all those things. So you need the model-driven app for that. So if you look at this model-driven app as well, you can easily visualize all of the data compared to the Power Apps Canvas app, where you just need to just the site engineer needs to view what they can see and all those things. So here you have an holistic view of, you can easily filter down. If you have 10,000 records, you can easily filter by those ones with where the status is resolved and all these things. So you can have like an holistic view, and you can actually, bring in a Power BI dashboard here as well to kind of visualize everything that you have here. So it integrates seamlessly as well, yeah. So, or you can also create a record as a supervisor because you have an high-level access than the site engineer. So you can also log in information on the hazards. So the site inspection, you can see all of the inspection that has been reported as well. So this was the one that I made the other time, right? So if I come here and I just make some change here. So let's see. So yeah, it's auto saved. Yeah, it's saved now. So if I go back, or you can actually come here and click on save, right? So if I come here now and I click on audit history, so it's still not registered. Yeah, because there is it has to synchronize. So the app users, so you can see all of the app users. So you can create new app user, or you have a new site engineer, you can register the person. Okay, what's the person's profile? You have to pull the data from the Microsoft 365. What's it called? You can put the person's name and the email, and you can specify the roles you want to give the person. So yeah, this is what a model-driven app looks like, basically. But you can do more than what you can see right now. And if you want to see, the way I showed, what's it called, the Canvas app. I showed the Power Apps Studio for the Canvas app. So you can also visualize the studio for the model-driven app by. So I mentioned something about solutioning yesterday, right? So everything, because we use the plan, so the AI automatically creates everything within the solution. So if I come to solution here, I can see site compliance, site inspection compliance. So it already created a solution for us. This is what the solution looks like. I think we talked about solution yesterday, and you can always see the objects on the site. So in this solution, we have how many apps? We have one agent. I'm going to be showing the Copilot part soon. We have two apps. One is a Canvas app, and one is a model-driven app. So if you look at the app type, Canvas app, model-driven app. So if you want to like see the Power App Studio for the model-driven app, you can click on this and edit that so you can see like the model-driven part. So this one is much more simpler than the Power Apps part, right? So what you just need to do here is you need to like either you want to add a new page or you want to what? You want to bring in data. So like I said, this is driven by what? It is driven by the data. So what you are basically doing is on the table levels. So I'm just gonna come here. On the table levels, so if you look at the site inspection table, apart from the columns, you have something called relationship. So this is how a table links to other tables. This is where you define, this is where the, what's it called? The connection is being made. So you have also something called keys. So keys is a feature that you can use to create like unique records or unique, so you can specify, say for example, the inspection type to, if I click on inspection type to, and I do this and I click on save. So I'm creating like a unique, what's it called? So I want this guy to be unique. So when I put in when I'm recording a new inspection and I use an existing, what's it called? An existing ID or an existing inspection title, then it shows off. I mean, it's a validation that's like I mentioned earlier yesterday that you can specify or define logic on the Dataverse level. So, I mean, you can also delete things that you created by using the delete stuff. So there's also something called forms. So on the table level, you can customize your forms, right? This is the form. So if you look at this form, there are different forms here. There's the main form, which is like the one that we showed earlier, which is, if you look at, where is it? Sorry, I have a lot of tabs open. So this, if I click on this now, this is the form, this is the user form. So if you go to the user table, right? So let me just use the one that I'm on, site inspection. So this is the site inspection view. This is called a view, right? And if you click on one of the items, it takes you to the form. So this is kind of like a main form. This is the main form. Oh, sorry. Thank you for that. So this is what the main form looks like. This is what the form looks like. So, and on the form, you can easily do like create new record, you can, save record, delete record, refresh the record and all those things. So this is what a form looks like. So now you have different form types. You have the main one, which is the one I just showed. You have the quick view one, which is kind of like, this is what a quick view form looks like. It's kind of like a pop-up on the sidebar. Say, for example, you want to use the form within the context of another form and all those things. So this is what it's just like you want to, how do I put this? It's just like when you want to quickly enter information on within in the table. So you can use the quick view, basically, the quick view form. So you have a view as well. So you can customize a view. This is what a view looks like. A view is just what you want to see. For example, if you look at the active view, this is what the active view looks like. So you can drag in the title, you can drag in the column that you need. So if I want to put created on column here, so I want it to be the first column, I can put it here. I can drag it and drop. So it's just what you want to see within the app. So if you come back to the app, here, you see that you have something called a view, and you can change between all the views that are active that you've enabled within the app. So like I said, you just have to, I mean, I'm just giving like an holistic picture and not like, what's it called, further details on how to get this thing done. So you have the charts, you can create a dashboard within a table level, you can define business rule. So what a business rule is, yesterday I mentioned that a set of like instructions. Say for example, when somebody logs a new inspection, you want to set the status automatically to what? To pending. So you can you can do like a business rule for that. So if you click on new business rule, it just takes you to the portal where you like create a new one. And you have something called a command. So command is if you want more customization or you want more, what do I call it? So if you want more things to show up on this tab level, so that's when you need a command. So yeah, this is what a new business rule looks like. So what's the condition for creating the rule? So when you have like, okay, on the entity level, what's the field you want to look at? You want to look at what? The inspection what? You want to look at the created by column or the created on column. So what's the condition for, applying this business rule? So when what's created on column is what contains data. So which means when you create a new record, when you create a new inspection record on the table, so automatically this condition holds. Then, so this is the condition that triggers, it's kind of like a simple workflow. You want something to happen when you enter a new data. So this is kind of like a logic to define that. So which entity? So you're already on the entity, you're on the site inspection table. So when something happens, what's that thing that happens? When you create a new data, automatically, because created on is a system column, it automatically contains data when you create a new one, when you create a new record. So what should happen? Then you can add what? You can add condition. Okay. So what should happen then? If the condition is true, what should happen? Then I want what? I want to, oh no, this I shouldn't do this. So it shouldn't be a condition. It should be an action. Yeah, I can just delete this level. I can delete this. So I can say add what? Add what? Set field value. I can set a field value when that's what? When the condition is true. So if you look at this checkbox, it says when the condition is true. Here, when the condition is false. So when the condition is true, then I want to set which field? I want to set the status to what? So the value of the status is what I want to set. So I can set it to active or inactive, or I can set what what's it called? Maybe by default I want to set the is draft value to what? To either yes or no. So whenever anybody creates any data, I want to set that value to what? So automatically when anybody inputs what's it called? Oh, sorry, I did not save that. So I mean, the idea is just to kind of like show us around. It's just to show us around, contains data, like I said earlier. So if I apply that, yeah. So and I do this and I say apply. So and I can basically save the business rule. So when anybody like puts in the data from anywhere, either from a Canvas app or from the model-driven app, so this business rule is going to execute. When you put in a new data, this business rule is basically going to execute when I activate it. So that's the idea of the business rule. So it's interface or interact directly with the table on the table level. So we have tables, and each table consists of what? You have forms, you have view, you have relationship, you have keys, forms, and all of these things. So yeah, that's the part of what we've talked about, perhaps we've talked about table. So inshallah, I'll just go to the automation part of it, the Cloudflow. So I mentioned that we have something called the Cloudflow. So we have, I'm just going to go to the Flow portal. So the same way we have the Microsoft, the Power Apps portal, the Power Apps Maker portal. So you can do something like flow.microsoft.com, right? Or you can actually go from here. If you want to go to the Flow portal, right? You can see Power Automate here. So if you click on Open New tab, so it takes you to this portal. And you can see like it's similar to what you have on the Power Apps. It is very similar to what you have on the Power Apps. So here you can also use that. You can describe the detail of what automation you want, what you want to automate. And if you describe it, I don't think it really works well because I've tried a couple of times and it doesn't work well. So you need to specify that you're in the same environment. So if you want to create a flow within a solution, back to what we did. So what I did was within my solution, like I said, you have all of the components that we need for this entire solution within the solution. But if you want to for us to like explore Power Automate in general, that's why I come to this portal.
So when you are creating the line, can you put as part of this line that you should automate?
It should create automation for you. Yeah, you can say that. So, but yeah, if you look at this, what I've just done is, so I came to this Power Automate portal for us to see something. So there are existing templates that you can leverage on already. So if you want to say, okay, save email attachments from outlook.com to Dropbox. So which means when you receive an email on your Outlook, you want to upload it to Dropbox. You want to upload the attachment to Dropbox. I did something similar. So if I click on my flows, you would see all of the flow that I created, right? So if you want to create a new flow, you can actually click here. So now we have different flow types. I need to cover this part. We have different flow types. We have the automated flow. We have the instant flow, and we have the scheduled flow. All of this is just like how you can use AI to describe your flow, all of this. And we have something called a desktop flow. I would just explain briefly what this 3 means. So we have 3 main trigger types of automation. So the first one is automated cloud flow. Automated is what? Can you see my screen? What's that?
Just go those in 30 seconds. What is flow? So
a flow or a Power Automate flow is, think of it as a worker or as an agent that you can use to achieve or automate repeated activities or tasks. I gave an example yesterday that you're a construction person and you often receive invoice. So you receive 50 invoices per day. So you can create a flow that does something for you. That when somebody sends you an invoice in your email, it goes into your email, it checks your email. Once it's received, it checks if that email contains an attachment, either a PDF or whatever. And what it takes those invoices and upload into your into a folder where you want to store it, where you used to store all of your invoices. That's a use case of automation. So now there are 3 types of such automation. Either it does it automatically when something happens. So this is where the automated part comes in, automated cloud flow. So it listens for an event. When the event happens, it triggers, it begins the action. So a flow has two parts. I'm going to go into that when I edit the flow that I have already. So there's the instance cloud flow as well. The instance cloud flow is when you want to push the button, right? If you want to push the button to start the flow, that is called an instance cloud flow. Maybe you have an app, you have within your Power Apps, like I said, you can use the Power Automate flow within your app. So maybe when you click a button on the app, you want to trigger the flow. So in that case, you use something called an instance cloud flow, right? So the idea of the instance cloud flow is what is triggered by you manually. And the third type of flow, like I said, just consider the first 3. So the third type of flow is what is a scheduled flow. Maybe you want a flow, you want that thing to run every 12 a.m. or you want it to run 2 times in a week. So that is the use case of a scheduled flow. So those are the 3 types of cloud flow that you use. So the idea of cloud flow is it is meant to run online without your interference. But there's the second part of the automation called the desktop flow. The idea of desktop flow is a little bit different. Say, for example, I don't know if anybody knows UiPath. There are some tools that does they call them RPA robots. Normally, every day, you would log in on your laptop. When you put on your laptop, you want to go to Excel, get some information from Excel, copy it. Oh, let me just think of something that makes sense. I don't want to say something random. Can somebody give me an example of what they would use to do on their laptop?
Browser.
Okay, open a browser, go to google.com, search a particular term and send me a feedback every day. I want to know the statistics of.
Like maybe I have a small business, I'm selling chin chin, for example.
Okay.
So you can have the automated flow that whenever my flour or my sugar goes up to a certain level, it will automatically send an email to the person that's supplying me flour to know that I need another set of flour.
So that use case is a use case of a cloud flow, a cloud flow which is automated.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to.
So that's an instance. But desktop flow, I don't know if we understand the concept of API that I explained yesterday. I explained the concept of API. Like you have SharePoint service, you have all of these services, Amazon service. I mentioned when you have eBay plugging in payment system of PayPal into their website. They don't need somebody to click on their computer to do that because PayPal said, this is the list of this is my service. This is how you can plug into my service directly. Everything is happening online, on the cloud, basically, as we say. It doesn't require human interaction. But there are some tasks that you want to execute by clicking on your computer. That is where desktop flow comes in. Example of that. I need statistic. Maybe I operate I sell clothes. It's a particular type of clothes, right? So what I want to do is every day, I want to go to google.com, search this specific clothing. Okay, I want to kind of get some statistical information on Google. I can build a desktop flow that does something for me. I can say the desktop flow should do something. Open my browser in the Google, go to google.com, right? Then put in the google.com, put the search text in the field. You can design that and it tell you to click on the search button. And whatever, the 5 response that it gets from the Google search, or put it into an Excel file, send it to me as an email. Desktop flow will do that for you. Because You can see that involves you clicking. What you would do manually by clicking. That is what desktop flow is meant for. But what can be automated without your interaction, without you having to click on something? If you want to send an email, you will type the email and all those things. But there's an API that you can leverage on that does that for you, right? I don't know if please, if you don't understand, please let me know.
That
No,
when you send something from like a company say, oh, we receive we get back to you.
something like that. So that's something like auto response. When you send an email to a particular mailbox, you get like auto response, right? Consider that like a cloud flow. That somebody does not necessarily have to sit in the computer and send you that automatically what auto response. But think of desktop flow as what? You need to like do that thing by what? Clicking. So how do you build that? So you build a desktop flow for that purpose. So it is meant to be a what? A step-by-step, what's it called? Solution to what? To imitate human use of the computer, kind of. And where is this used? When you build a desktop flow, you don't necessarily want to run it on your laptop. Does anybody knows what a virtual machine is? Virtual machine. So virtual machine is just like you have a computer. The same way you have a computer, you can buy a computer that lives online, that lives in the cloud. And you can operate the computer online through your laptop. So you can now put this desktop flow on that virtual machine that does it for you. So now you have two modes. Either you run it attended. Attended is you have the desktop flow, you build it on your laptop, and you click on run, ask it to run on your laptop. And the unattended mode is you copy that desktop flow and put it on what? Put it on the virtual machine that you bought online. And it does that thing for you. Probably you can now create a scheduled flow, a scheduled cloud flow. So there are two types of flow basically, the cloud flow and the desktop flow. So the cloud flow is what? Is of three types. Just reiterating. The automated one, the instance one, and the scheduled one. So you can now create a scheduled one to trigger the desktop flow. So you can say every 12 a.m., do that search for me and send me the report. So that's kind of like a brief way to explain it. So, but yeah, inshallah, just starting off, throw the desktop one behind the scene. We're just focusing more on the cloud flow. So I said we have three types. I gave the scenarios of what automated cloud flow. Something like the auto response. So if somebody sends you an email, you want to auto respond to them, you can build a flow that does that for you. Instance cloud flow, I want to click on the button to do for something to happen. And scheduled flow, I want something to happen every 5 minutes or every 2 weeks or every 1 week or every Monday and Thursday, all of those things. So I have a flow that I built just for the purpose of learning. So if you look at this, I have cloud flows and desktop flow. So you can see we have two types of flow basically. So if I click on new flow, for example, I can choose from the template like I explained earlier. You have some templates that are available for you to choose. Now, this flow that I have, I need somebody to tell me something. I just clicked on, sorry, let me do something. So when I click on the flow is called email checker, right? I created the flow really quick. So here you can see the history of the run. Okay, before I come to the run, let me just click on edit. So I told us earlier that flow has two parts. When you're creating a flow, you have to specify something called a trigger. The trigger can be automated, can be an automated trigger, can be an instant trigger, or what? What's the third option? Scheduled trigger, inshallah. So scheduled trigger means what? It runs every 5 minutes. So if you look at this concept, so now let me ask us, this is the use case of what I built now. I built an email, I built a flow that whenever I received an email with attachments, what does attachments mean? You have a file in the email. Then it should what? I want to upload the attachments in my OneDrive folder. That's what this flow does basically. What does that mean? Is that what's use case is that flow? What kind of flow is that?
That's it.
It's automated flow. So because I want to listen for an event, when that event happens, then what? Do the action. Schedule is run at this specific timing, right? So this flow does something like that. If you look at this, so I specify the first action of the flow is called a trigger. The first action of any Power Automate flow is what is called a trigger. So the trigger could be of three types: automated, instant, and scheduled. So now
You want to say like the manual thing
all these things, what I did not realize, anything like manual is trying to be, going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everything has to, yes, everything has to be like.
So if you look at this flow now, I specify the trigger. The trigger is when an email arrives. If I click on this, now you can specify. What can you specify? When it arrives where? In my inbox. So this flow also uses the concept of connectors. The same connectors in Power Apps. You use the same connectors in what? In Power Automate Flow to automate things. So it uses an Office 365 Outlook connector, right? Right? So, so if you look at this, when you click on this when an email arrives, so you have to specify what? You have to specify arrives where? Either in my inbox, so you can see these folders. You have a lot of folders in your email. Everybody uses email most likely. So either when it arrives in your inbox. So you can also specify some condition, include attachments, right? So important, maybe you just want to say, okay, only important emails. You can specify all of these things. So this is the trigger. So when any email arrives in your inbox, this Power Automate, when you create it, it registers into the Outlook service. It is constantly, so because you've created the connection between the Power Automate and Outlook by using this connector, it registers a listener, an event listener in the Outlook service. And watch out for when you receive an email. So what should happen after? So everything that happens after the trigger is called an action. So you can have 5 actions happening, you can have 1, you can have 2, based on your business requirements. So then I said, okay, I've used Outlook to listen. Then what do I want to do? I want to extract the attachment and save somewhere. Where? I want to save in a storage. What storage can I use? I can use OneDrive. I can use SharePoint. You can use whatever storage that you use. So, but in this case, I'm using OneDrive. So what do I do again? I need to pick the OneDrive connector. So when I pick the OneDrive connector, so OneDrive connector has, if I click on plus now, you can see when I click on plus, what happens? It pops up all of the available connectors for me. So if I say SharePoint, for example, it's going to pop up SharePoint as well. So now if I click on, this is SharePoint, right? If I click on see more, so you see all of the actions that are available on the SharePoint connector, right? So I can say create item as well. Or I can say create file. So create file, what does create file does? You see, oh, sorry, I don't mean to use it, actually. I'm just gonna delete it. So I just want us to see how you can do these things. So basically I deleted the action by right-clicking on it and delete, that's it. So I just want to create the file. Where do I want to create the file? I've specified this connector that I want to use to be OneDrive, and I chose the action, which is create file. So where do I want to create the file? I specify the folder path. So when you click on this button, okay, where should you create it? So I have all of these subfolders in my OneDrive. If I click, then I selected flow. Then if you look at this now, I want to specify the file name and the file contents. What is the file name that I want to save in my OneDrive? And what is the content that I want to save? So this leads us to when you're dealing with something that I mentioned earlier, which is the API. PayPal, eBay. PayPal said, this is what I'm expecting from you. That is input, that is request. This is what I'm requesting from you. eBay, you need to send me the price or the amount the person is willing to pay for. And maybe the description. That is called request. It's part of the request. That is not just the only request. You need to put some things, some security also in part of the request. So there's something called response, request, and there's something called response. When you make a request, you should get a response, right? Like action and reaction, basically. So request and response. So when you want to use this connector, it leverages this API. So just back to the eBay, PayPal stuff. PayPal tells eBay, I need amount and description. And when you provide me this, if this transaction is successful, this is what I'll send you. I'm going to send you the status of the transaction, either it's success or failed. I'm going to send you the amount that was paid and maybe some transaction ID. So for you to identify that specific transaction and all of this thing. So the request is you send me the amount and description, and I'm going to send you So you know what to provide and you know what to expect. So the same thing, these connectors, they are telling you this is what I'm expecting from you. And whenever you do anything, this is the response. So because we're using the trigger, yeah? So the trigger says, I'm going to listen. if there's a new what, there's a new attachment, there's a new email, and it has an attachment. And I'm going to be giving you all of those information about that email. So that is what we call dynamic content. The response from the previous action, from each action has a response. And each action should what have a request. So what is the create file action requesting from us? It is requesting because we said, okay, help us create this file in this folder on OneDrive. It has to know the file that it wants to create. So you have to provide the file name, and because you can see the asterisk sign, it means what? It is compulsory you provide that information. So it needs just two things. It needs just three things from you. Which folder do you want to create that file that you're sending to me? Which folder do you want to create that attachment? And provide me the file name and what? The file itself. So where do you get that from? Because the listener already says, okay, I'm going to listen for the email from you, and I'm going to send you everything that has to do with the email. So if you click here, what happens? You have two options. You have something called the dynamic content. So what is dynamic content? It's the content that comes from the previous actions. So if you look at when an email arrives, so it provides you with what? How many information? 34 informations, right? You don't get to define this. It is automatically, it pops up automatically. It tells you this is, once I'm listening, once I get something, this is what I'm going to return to you. So if you look at this is from. From means what? The email is from who? To who is the recipient of the email subject. What do we need? We just need to go straight to the point. We need anything that has to do with what? Attachment. So you have to start looking for where's attachment, where's the attachment, right? So if you look at this, you see what? Attachments name, right? And if you see here, you see what's attachment content. You just need to specify here should be attachment name and what's the content. You come here to the content as well. You see the same thing that you saw before, yeah? And you can see the word attachment content and just select it. That's it. And if we test this flow, how do we test this flow? What is the trigger? Who receives an email? When I receive an email, who is the person? Who is the person that is signed in? Because I'm using the connector, I have to establish the connection. Like when you want to use any service, you have to log in. So I'm already logged in, right? So if I click on this, see change connection reference, for example. So you can see this is the person that is logged in. So if this person receives an email from anybody, right? So I'm going to test that functionality now, for example. I'm just going to send myself an email, right? I'm going to send this user an email. Test email. Okay, testing. And I'm going to do something. I'm going to put in an attachment. I'm going to upload an attachment, for example. Let me say this guy, right? And I send it to myself. So let's see. This is where we decide. This is the Flow Studio. This is where you decide the flow, you write the actions and the what trigger. So if you click on back, what happens? You can see the flow details. Like who are you sharing the flow with? What's it called? Yeah, the run history of the flow. If the flow trigger, if 100 people sends an email to that inbox, you're going to see what? 100 what? You're going to see 100 runs. Do you understand? So if I refresh this, you can see that this one existed 34 minutes ago. So this is 12 seconds ago. Which is the most recent one? So if I open this flow run, it's just that you want to track what really happened on this instance. So if you look at this now, I just opened that on a new tab. So it says when an email arrives, right? So I told you there's something called input or request. So what is the input in this case? Let's see. The parameter is what you specify the folder inbox. Include attachments. This is also the what input. Importance any. So watch only with attachment. Fetch blah 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 rubbish. So then, because you're listening, you're also receiving an output. So these are the outputs that I said is usable within the what subsequent actions. So you have the attachments. So you have the attachment ID, last modified name, and what's content type. So if I do something now, if I go to the next action, so I can see that there is what input and output on each action. So on this one now, I can just click on the create file. Let's see what happened. Okay, from this, I can actually see that this is successful, right? And it took 1 second, 0.9 seconds to create. So what is the raw input? So we specified the raw input the other time. So this is the folder path. So if I'm to go to my OneDrive folder now, if I'm to go to what? OneDrive. Everybody knows OneDrive, right? So if I click on my files and I click on flow, so this is the file, and you can see the file. It was created here successfully, easy. So instead of me having to go to that email, copy this image, download it, and upload here. So it does it for me. So if there is WhatsApp connector, then you can always, so for example, if you want to do WhatsApp, for example, you can just say edit. And how do you know if it's possible, right? If I click on plus and I do WhatsApp, if I type WhatsApp here, if WhatsApp is enabled, then what you see options that has to do with WhatsApp. So for you to be able to use WhatsApp, you can see you don't have the option. Says you have something called Smart Dialogue. You don't have like a direct WhatsApp API. So there are some companies that helps you, like that wrap their own API within WhatsApp and all of these things. So it's a bit complex without going there. So this is what a typical automation looks like. And the last part of the solution is the Copilot bit, which I'm going to just show like really briefly. So if you look at the agents, so which is also within so I told us yesterday that for you to access the Copilot bit, you have to go to somewhere called, so normally it should be accessible from here, but if you can't access it from here, so just do what copilot.microsoft.com. So automatically you see all of the agents here, right? So if you click on agents, so if you look at this now, I'm not going to see anything. Why? I don't have an agent. Why? Because I'm on the wrong environment. So if I change to the right environment, so I should see all of the agents that I have. So if you look at, this is the site compliance copilot. So if I click on this, you can see you can see the agent overview. So what does the agent does? So it empowers what's it called? Basically, it empowers all site engineers basically with intelligence response about all of the inspection. So I'm just going to do something. So what you need to do, you need to specify which AI model you want to use to do whatever you want to do. So if you think the one that works for you most is GPT 4.1, how do you know? You have to read. If you look at this, there's something around great for most task and quick analysis. So each model, if you read about each model, it is built for different things. So you look for what's an agent that does what you want to do the best and specify. So, and you can now put the instruction of what the Copilot should do. So now, these are the instructions. Empower all site roads with what? Intelligent response. When they ask it what information, it should be able to provide them, detailed information. So you should be able to use the Copilot to escalate unresolved hazard. So I'm just going to do something. I'm just going to test really quick. I said hi. So how can I help you today? Give me information on what? Inspection 004. So let's see what happens. So he said no answer was found. So, so that is because I think, we need to do a couple of things to enhance this Copilot. We need to add knowledge base. So knowledge base is what? The source where the Copilot will get the information from. So the knowledge base can be from public websites, can be from SharePoint, can be from Azure Search and all of this, So, but we, in our case, are using Dataverse. So if I click on Dataverse, and it shows me all of the table, and I say what's inspection and all of these things. So I think I have an agent that already used this, that already has like knowledge base. So apart from this table, you can even upload files. You can upload maybe Word document and all of these things. Yeah, you can upload files and all of these things here. So to use it as a knowledge base. But because it doesn't have any knowledge source, then there's nowhere to get us information of inspection 4 from. There's nowhere. So now, apart from the overview page, so this shows what instruction, all of those things that you want it to do. And you want to enable web search. If you want it to go outside of what your internal, what's it called? If you want it to go on the public facing website to get some information from you can turn it on as well. If you need some tool to actually achieve some of those things that you need to do, like you need, for example, if I click on add tools, it's just going to ask you like, what tool do you want to use? Do you want to use Microsoft Planner, or you want to use Office 365 Outlook? Tool can be like something that you use to achieve something, to achieve an action. For example, a tool, you can use Office 365 Outlook tool to send email. So you can ask the chat, what's it called? If you plug in this tool, if you plug in the Office 365 Outlook, then you can specify which action you want to use within it. Like you want to send email. So you can specify as, so that is specified as a tool. So whenever you put a prompt that what get inspection for details and send it to me as what as an email. So because you already plug in the tool, so knowledge source is where it gets information from. Tool is what it used to what to perform an action, basically. So and you have like, if you have some other agents that you want to what you want it to like maybe delegate some task. This is an inspection agent, for example. You want to have a compliance agent, so you can say you can add that agent if it already exists. That what okay, report compliance. So if you have anything to do with compliance on the chat, it sends that information to that compliance agent and what and come back. That is concept of orchestration. And we have something called topics. So yeah, I've covered knowledge, I've covered tools, I've covered agents. So topics is what some of the things that you want to look out for in the chat. So when you build a new Copilot, there are some default topics. For example, greetings, anything that has to do with greetings. So if I say what's greetings, for example, if I open the topic, so it includes some common phrases like hi, hello, how are you? And so you can say what, look at it. So you can customize how it respond. So how can I help you today? And what's that's all. So if you have, so you have many topics as well. If you say goodbye, so it looks out for common phrases that people use to what to say goodbye and tells you what would you like to end our conversation? And what if you say yes or no, then it's basically going to like act accordingly. So you have all of these topics, and activities is what it tracks all of the what's it called activities, how the tasks, how the AI or the Copilot uses some tools, how it fetches information from the knowledge base, how basically like it delegates activities to some other sub agents. And evaluation is when you implement a Copilot or an AI, you want to know how well is this AI doing? So you can have some like evaluation around it. And analytics just give you an overview of the performance of your agents. And now when you have these agents fully built, you don't necessarily have to come to Copilot to use it. You can publish the AI to be used in WhatsApp. You can publish the AI to be used on your website or your web application. You can use it in Teams. You can use it in SharePoint. You can bring it to your email. Basically, like you can publish it anywhere to be used. So you don't necessarily have to come to the Copilot Studio to use it. So if you look at this agent, for example, so I think I just have a few minutes. How many minutes? 2 minutes. So the 2 minutes, because a lot of us are looking out for, how do I, continue and all those things. So I used to recommend that we follow this path, this certification path. So it's called Microsoft Power Platform Fundamentals. This constitutes or encompasses everything you need to learn, right? It encompasses almost everything you need to learn to start out. So if you just search PL 900 certification, so it takes you to this certification path. So if you look at it, it's on the beginner level, is about Power Platform, and the last updated time is 2025. I recommend this, but it will be phased out soon. But that's why we have the community to share update on all of these things. So basically, this certification, gets you job ready, for example, with hands-on experience, right? So if you look at this preparation for the exam, so this is the part I'm most interested in. So this is the learning content. So it has a structured learning content for you. So if you so the training course, you need to like go line by line. If I select the first one, it talks about the business value of Microsoft Power Platform. If I select it, you have the submodules under that, right? So introduction, explore Power Platform. Some of those things we did already, we covered holistically. So, but it goes in depth for you, right? You have to go line by line. So it tells you the business value of it first. Then now it talks about environment. You have this dedicated content to learn about environments and how to create environments. We just did like an holistic summary of how these things works. So after that, then it demonstrates for you the capabilities of Microsoft Power Pages. We were unable to cover that. So how you can build Power Page, how you can administer Power Page, how you can share. Then it takes you to the Power Apps bit. So now if you look at the Power Apps bit, it tells you how you can the use case of Canvas app and model-driven app. Now it takes you now to like build a proper Canvas app. It covers the connectors, the app, how you can leverage data sources and all of these things, the controls, and how to build responsive pages. So if you follow this content, it is very, very detailed. So the same thing for model-driven app. Then it covers the Power Automate part of the what's it called that we discussed. So inshallah, I'm going to share the link to this resource. And inshallah, we should be able to learn at our own pace and at our own convenience. So once you're done completing all of these modules, then I think, you should be ready to so you can also try you can try to test yourself to see if you're ready for the exam. by what? By using the take practice assessment. So when you're sure of yourself and you think you cover all of those things and you did the hands-on, labs, then I think once you take the practice exam and you have a good score, then you can now proceed to schedule your certification to have like a certification that is back from Microsoft basically. So yeah. So inshallah, I think that is the summary of everything. Jazakumullah khairan.
Yeah. So just then bring the mic. No, I don't need the mic. It's just yes.
It's not love.
I need to move closer. So inshallah, we'll do our quiz now. All the links for the people who took the photos will be shared on the community. So for those of you who have got the email, just join the community, because one of the things I've seen about Microsoft is that they are aggressive at updating more than others. So some of the things you see, they keep changing the content and how.
Yeah, screen.
Sorry?
Do you want to share screen?
Yeah.
In case they want to.
What? Is that allowing me?
No, I'm just saying I've not tried share. Share your screen like on Zoom here. Yeah. Sure.
You sure?
Yeah. Yeah. So we can start scanning the QR code here.
Please, we are doing our quiz now, so if you can scan the QR code to participate in the quiz, inshallah.
Can I join, please?
No cheating, please.
I would like to join, please. You need to move that. Oh, sorry, can you grab that? Who wants to use that one? Especially.
I can't solve that problem for you.
Why? So it's not right for
That one is the so to get connection.
Yeah. Because you're not wearing jackets. Okay, you wear a jacket. It's not going. No. Just scan it. I've not started the game yet, so I'm just waiting for everybody to. So once you scan it, it will show me. Huh? Yeah, I took it for you.
Sorry.
It might have been cold, man.
This one.
So please, as much as you can, let's try to participate. There's a small token for the winner only. So please.
Can you have 1 minute twice? Can you have 1 minute twice?
Mm.
If the person who won the last time also is the winner.
And there's nothing I can do about it.
Okay.
It's
They just have to
very-
freeze up as well. The man without internet. Are we ready? Bismillah.
No, when you have internet. I think is everybody okay? Yeah. This man is trying to say.
What is?
Yeah, I'm not like saying.
Oh, it's not right.
Yes, so you're in when you say for open service on the football.
It's not started, so
We've not started, so
we're going to start now.
are we good?
I think everyone is connected now.
Everybody's connected?
How many people is going up so we can know what to pick up? 16 people.
16. Okay. Abdullah, are you playing the game as well? No? Okay. This one.
Kahoot. Okay.
So you have to get the correct answer, and you have to get the correct answer fastest. So that's how it goes. It's not just any correct answer. You have to be quick as well.
Can you track down the share the screen share?
Okay, it's blocking the question.
Yeah.
Can put in the middle because I didn't put any image, so.
I'm going to change your answer.
Why do you want to take that?
What I mean is that want to choose
Choose the next.
The quickest for the right.
correct speed. You have to be able to read fast as well.
Three more people.
Can you answer? Can you answer? So come to the center. The answer, the answer. Ah. Email that. You can snap that. Yes.
It's only the- Because you want.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Pin 416.
Yeah, just that.
So you think it was right or wrong, yeah?
Don't go back, don't go back.
Next.
No, it's fine.
I have that one, no more, one point. How many questions are you?
20 questions.
And then this go. I have one point, nothing to go.
Mashallah, mashallah.
Very fast, don't worry.
Is it in now?
Yeah.
It's in.
Yeah, so next. Civil personalism. Next. Question 2. How does co-pilots improve productivity? What should be?
So you've got 90 seconds per question. So
B.
no, you have to move closer because it's going to scatter the whole thing. Doctor, you are the one that doesn't have signal. He said it's okay. Then we have finished with the. Yeah. Is it the person next? He said it's no. No, it's one more person to answer.
You have 2 more people to answer. 2 more answers. So, mashallah. Enough people that are.
Which way? They are not going to stop.
Oh, yesterday. I said yesterday.
Yes, combining yesterday's something I was doing. So if you were paying attention yesterday, inshallah.
Oh, no, I didn't. Hey, can you move back?
10 more people. Mashallah, mashallah.
Be serious for you, and make mistake.
Oh, always. That's what you said the first time.
We should be allowed to change our answer.
Okay, yeah.
Now, today we would go like.
And there's the next question. There's always a next question.
Yeah, so we more, so inshallah.
Come and sit down.
Man, don't disturb the class, man. Don't sit back.
2 more people. 2 more answers.
We don't leave anyone behind.
Two more answers.
Don't time 12 seconds more.
One more person? Okay.
Right.
Wow, mashallah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, if we can answer fast, please, Jazakumullah khair.
because of Salah, we don't want to. No, this one is just.
This one is just-
11.
This is quite basic, I think, like, just to refresh what we did so far. So one more person. One more. One person. One person.
Is that because of Salah? We need to move quickly.
Who is the last person, please?
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Or we cap the time to 50. Once it's 50, we're gonna skip. So the last person should please submit the answer. Last person, 5, 4.
That's why you don't be skipping this. The end, no matter.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry, I think I just need to say something. What does the out of the box mean? Hmm? Out of the box means within. You don't need anything external. It means it comes with it. Just to explain the question.
Mentioned it yesterday.
Hmm?
You mentioned it yesterday.
Yeah.
I understood the question, I was listening.
Okay. 'This was yesterday question. Oh,
That cloud flows and business process of the sky and the sun.
I don't know. So one more person skipping. 5, 4. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What happened? That's 9 seconds, but I thought we have time, but we don't have time, so we have to. Sorry.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next. Ooh. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. MashaAllah.
Mashallah, this will go down. So you were listening, mashallah.
Fifteen. 2 more people. 16. One more person. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. One more person. One more person. What does Copilot rely on to use? Last question.
Well, if you can jump on that, we just first solution.
MashaAllah. One more person. Last person. MashaAllah. Who is the third?
Who's
Abu.
MashaAllah. Even though you attended late, MashaAllah.
Abdullah. Abdullah is the second.
Who's Abdullah? Which Abdullah?
Same Abdullah.
Oh, MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
Who is me?
Who is me? It's me. It's me. It's me. Who is me? Who is me?
Wait. Do we have somebody online? Who is me? MashaAllah.
These last two questions, that's why I was reading the whole. And these last two.
Who is me?
Who is me?
Hello. Assalamu alaikum. Do we have somebody on the Zoom that is me? Yes, we have two people online. Is anybody me online?
No, it's me and you and
No, I mean, like, is somebody like joined, whoever joined the Kahoots that is me? Please let us know.
Just a quick one. MashaAllah, Barakallah. What is it called? It's shaped like me. So you won on the first day, you didn't attend yesterday, and still wow. So, but yeah, basically said I should take the gate to number 2 and number 2 is a black. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Abdullah, MashaAllah. Who is that? Who is that? Is me. Oh, MashaAllah.